Yeah. Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. Sean on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
We can't catch a break, guys. Like, this happens to us every single year. Like, we can't get 1 year, 1 season where we have all our guys in the rotation healthy just for 1 year. Like, we can't get any luck and, you know what I'm saying, and have any sort of healthy team and roster for one postseason. It's like, if it's not one person, it's another. It's like every year at least one guy has been injured. From Jaylen Brown last year to Kyrie Irving to Gordon Hayward to Kemba Walker, now Rob Williams. Like, geez.
I think that's every team,
it's
though.
ridiculous.
That's every team, though.
Ducks, man.
Yeah, that's every team, though. Every team goes through that. Really. Phoenix Suns last year, they lost Chris Paul through the playoffs, and then he was able to come back and play. And Giannis missed a couple of games last year with knee injuries and all that stuff. I mean, it's every team. The Golden State Warriors didn't have Klay Thompson for 2 years.
That's true.
So it's every team. Every team goes through the same situation. And, Ben Simmons, he doesn't want to play that basketball. So that happens, And then the Nets had no Kyrie Irving at all.
It's a whole different story.
It's a whole different story. Yeah, it's every team goes through that kind of growing pain. So it's tough. Like the Lakers, like they're Anthony Davis falling down, hurting shoulder, bad foot away from not having it, and that happens every year.
That's true, with the exception of that 1 year in the bubble. When they ended up winning the championship, every other postseason, he's pretty much had to go through some sort of major injury. Right. No, that's a good point. That's fair. Right. Sucks it happens to every team, and that a major star player or a superstar has to be injured. But I guess, like you said, that's just part of the game and part of the sport, unfortunately. Right.
Yeah.
Happens to everybody. Like you said, even that year with Golden State, when they lost KD and Clay, or else they would have won the championship and three-peated that year had at least one of those guys, if not both. So, that injury bug it feels like it hits us more than other teams, though.
I just think we're talking from our personal point of view. I think you're talking from our personal point of view. And again, I feel, listen, if you're the Golden State Warriors at the time and you lose KD, you're thinking, you lost Robert Williams, we lost Kevin Durant.
That's true. Right.
Okay, don't talk to us about Robert Williams. Okay, we lost Kevin Durant. We lost maybe the best scorer of all time. So I just think it's very different. It's very different.
No, absolutely. It is. No, that's right. Whole different ball game right there. Who's legit future Hall of Famer, right? And the legend.
Yeah.
Hey Barry, get your Daniel Tice jersey, man.
Get ready.
We gotta do something.
I'm gonna have to get me somebody else's jersey other than Tice.
Oh man!
I'll get me like a Payne Pritchard jersey or something like that. Right. Or freaking even Grant Williams. I'll get a Grant Williams jersey, but before that,
So
I'm good on the Tice jersey. I'm all set. I'll leave that to somebody else.
Sure.
What was that, John?
The other boys need our support now, man.
So is he really getting the surgery? Is that official that he's gonna end up going for the surgery?
I see, Boston Herald, clipping just came out, so I guess so. So what it's like 4 to 6 months now?
I would think he's done for this year. I would think he's done for this year. Yeah.
We'll see him next season,
We'll see him next season.
Yeah.
So they got to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah, we'll have him in bubble wrap halfway through the season next year and then unleash him and then maybe he'll last through the postseason.
It's still going to be touch and go with him. At least he's young. He could heal fast. He could heal real fast. At least
That's
he's
true.
young.
He has youth on his side. That is
He has
true.
youth on his side. Yeah.
Yeah, thank God he's a young cat for sure. Yeah, and he's not an older veteran player. Right. He's not like an Al Horford or someone.
I hope it's one of those situations because, Steph Curry, had that ankle situation for years before he could finally get over that stuff. And it seems like Robert, the first 3-4 years, he just like catches a bug, every year. So hopefully.
I will say this, though, about the Celtics right now. This is the first time since Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have been together that they've scored together. Like, I always felt like it was either one guy would score, the other guy's cold. Then one guy would score, the other guy's cold. Now they're both scoring. Yeah. And, I mean, who knew it took Marcus Smart to be the point guard? Like, they were mixing point guards all the way through. Who knew it took Marcus Smart to be the point guard for this to go correctly? That's a different animal.
Marcus has been a revelation this year. I mean, I feel like he always had it in him, but it's just giving him the keys to this thing. It's like he's making passes, and I'm like, okay, like what the hell, I'm like, hey, this guy's making Lonzo ball type passes, and he has the vision, and his leadership is. I mean, he always had it, but this year it's just like on a different level,
So what's besides losing Robert Williams, they're going to make the playoffs. What's going to be their biggest obstacle? I have what my thought of what's going to be. What do you think their biggest obstacle is going to be? John, you go first.
As far as opponent?
As far as let's not even opponent, but what do you think is going to be their biggest obstacle as a team?
I mean,
but I think guarding the pin, right? Like,
okay,
perimeter defending, because I think Bob Williams does a lot of that, specifically when the guys have to shoot over him. And then in the pin, I think somebody like Kyrie, somebody like KD can just walk in easily. And also, if we look at when we faced Miami in the bubble, Miami was able to dominate in the paint because Tice or Adebayo was dunking all over Tice. So I think to me that's gonna be the biggest part.
Front court. Yeah.
I'm gonna bet they're gonna lose out in coaching.
Really?
Only because this is the first year for Ime Udoka. So I bet you they lose out on coaching. Meaning, and he'll still be great. Ime will still be great. But they're going to go against Miami, and Spo has been there for a little bit. He understands what he has to do in a 7-game series. So, like, winning these games, the way the Celtics are winning is impressive, but they're playing, like, one team today, one team tomorrow. So what happens when they have to do 7 games against a squad? And that squad's able to make a couple of changes to maybe do things a little bit differently. That's where I think the Celtics are going to do their thing. I think the Jays will do their thing. But I think when it comes down to, okay, like you just said, now teams are going to say, okay, we see what you do defensively this game. How about if we change it up this way? How do you react? And it's going to be one of those things where a coach is going to learn on the job.
Don't you think having Brad Stevens will be able to help him maneuver through that?
I think so, but he's not on the bench during the game.
That's true.
He's not on the bench during the game. I think having it is good, but he's not on the bench during the game.
That's true.
They need that the telephone like the NFL game. Hey, that's what I see.
To the booth, right.
They need that. They're gonna need that.
I think.
What did you think the biggest obstacle for the Celtics this postseason would be? Because I have mine, but thought I'd let you go first.
Myself?
Yeah, for you, what do you think the obstacle is going to be? The biggest one?
I think the bench, with Pritchard and White, they've been doing really well. When they get that defensive pressure, in the postseason, you know, will they still be able to perform the way they've been performing? Because now, you know, it's game plan, and you know, I feel like they've been really consistent, and even White's been hitting shots lately. You know, what happens when, you know, the pressure comes up? We'll see another, you know, shooting slump, and you know, they've hit a really nice spot right now, but can they continue, you know, throughout the playoffs? So those guys are going to be really, really big, you know, coming off the bench.
Here's the good thing about it. If you're thinking about the Eastern Conference, it's the Celtics and it's the Milwaukee Bucks are playing the best. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, James Harden looks like he's ready to go to the Y and play post up at the Y. He doesn't like the new style. You don't know what you're going to get out of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. You know Kevin Durant's going to be on, but they haven't played enough together for you to figure that out. And Miami right now is playing the worst basketball possible. So those are the two. So you two between Milwaukee, and I would give Milwaukee the edge because they just have been there. They understand what it takes. It's hard to take it away from a champ, you know, and that's what that is. Those guys trust one another, so they understand what they have to do. But the Celtics are playing, you know, outside of this injury. We'll see how it turns out. But they have 7 games to kind of set a pace and figure out what they're going to do and kind of get a feel for it. And they may be able to figure that out. I mean, the one thing that the Celtics have that I never thought they'd have, I never thought that Grant Williams would be Grant Williams. My Lord.
Right.
You know, like, my Lord.
So where did that come from? Right.
Like, when did that happen? I never thought Grant Williams would be Grant Williams. I never thought I'd be like, well, we got Grant Williams. What you got? You know, I never thought that would be a conversation. I never thought that would be a conversation I would roll with people. We got Grant Williams. What you got? You know, I didn't know he turned into Bruce Bowen all of a sudden. It was just crazy to watch. So
I wouldn't be surprised if he starts some of these playoff games.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. He probably will be. Now
I wouldn't be surprised.
You know, Rob's gonna be out. Right.
He's what we wanted Ojale to be, right?
Yes.
You know, with that big 3 and D. Exactly. He's actually doing it. You know.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And he's developed a shot too, which is
he's been practicing with Lethal Shooter. I see him, you know, on social media.
Oh, really? He's been working on that.
Yeah, he's been shooting with Lethal Shooter.
Yeah. Who knew he would be one of the best 3-point shooters in the league? Who knew he would be one of the best 3-point shooters in the league?
Crazy.
Well, what
he start with 40%?
What did he start with career like missing 45 straight 3-point?
Something like that. Right. Somewhere in that number.
Some crazy stat like that, right?
Call him Batman.
Oh, he's so funny.
Call him Batman.
Call him Batman, you know?
I'm good. No thanks.
He gave everybody a Marvel character, which made me think, I'm like, why are you spending so much time watching Marvel? Like, it just was one of those things where I was like, I get it, you like it and everything, but for you to just roll it off the tongue like that, I was like, man, there's a lot of thought process involved in there. It's like a handshake that you guys had figured out. It was a lot.
No, for sure it was. Just real quick, just wanted to share my biggest obstacle that I think, you know, the Celtics team is going to go through this postseason. I think, and it's an obstacle that they've had during the regular season that we've seen them really struggle with, and that's, I think, winning close games, particularly games that like are 5 points, you know, under. They're really still. I think there's some games where, you know, they ended up, you know, struggling with that. You know, they struggled with that in the Detroit game right before the All-Star break. In the Dallas game, you know, that was a 3.1 possession game. They ended up struggling to be able to, you know, close out that game, and particularly, you know, against good teams and good competition that you're going to see in the playoffs that we talked about, all the good teams they're going to have to play. You're going to play a lot of, you know, close games, a lot of, you know, 1 possession, 2 possession games that are going to go down to the last couple minutes. So you got to be able to, you know, to execute on both ends, and, you know, and guys got to be, you know, locked in and can't have any sort of lapses and any sort of, you know, mental, you know, errors and mistakes, or just mistakes, period, like turnovers, because sometimes they can get a little bit sloppy and carried away with the basketball in those times in crunch time. And that, you know, in the postseason, all it takes is 1 or 2 mistakes that can cost you the game, particularly when the game is really that close and comes down to the last couple minutes.
I would say what the Celtics have going for them, and this is a weird thing, they're young. So they're going to rest Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. They're going to rest Giannis because he's played a lot of basketball. They're going to rest Drew Holiday. They're obviously going to rest Embiid because he's a big man and his knees are bothering him, and Arden. So with the Celtics being young, they shouldn't rest anybody because if they finish in first place, which is what they need to do, then all the games in the East go through the Garden. So all you're asking them to do is win at home. You're not asking them to win on the road. Just win at home. Right. Just handle your business at home. So it is so important for them to finish this stretch on top, because then everybody just has to come here, and all you have to do is protect home court. And if you can do that, you can make it as far as you want to do.
And so you don't think that changes now that Robert Williams is injured? You don't think that exposes us to somebody like the Nets or something like that?
I don't listen. You weren't gonna. I don't think Robert Williams was gonna help you stop Kevin Durant. I don't think that was in the plan for that. Robert Williams was not gonna get out and guard Kevin Durant. You were literally gonna hope Kevin Durant could put the ball on the floor, and maybe Marcus Smart can kind of mess up his handle a little bit. If you put Robert Williams out there and Kevin Durant, he gets 2 fouls instantly. He gets 2 fouls. You need to have somebody kind of rough up Kevin Durant. Kind of physical Kevin Durant. And you needed Robert Williams to do what he does, get rebounds. You don't have to call plays for him. So when the Jays were taking their shots, Robert Williams would get the rebound and put it back in and do what he did and set up stuff defensively on pick and rolls. So I don't know if you wanted him to go out there and guard Kevin Durant.
So you think we can take the Nets in a 7-game series because we have home court advantage?
I think you can take the Nets in a 7-game series because I don't know. Like, listen, I haven't seen Kyrie and Kevin Durant score together. Mm-hmm. Either one of them has scored a lot, and the Nets was scored. And by the way, you know what they don't do? What the Celtics have done? The Nets don't play defense at all. At all. You're going to score 140 on them. They play no defense whatsoever. So you're going to, as long as you keep playing defense, play like you did. And that's where, like you're saying, if you're, where you miss Robert Williams is just that, defensively guarding the post. So Kevin Durant's not going to take him in the post. He would take him on the perimeter. That's why you don't need him there. So as long as you keep playing defense and you keep rotating, you're going to the one thing that they were 23 and 24 at one point before they decided to buy in on defense. Now, once you play defense, they'll still be the same team. They'll have to figure it out. Obviously, I mean, there was word that maybe Robert Williams was going to get votes for Defensive Player of the Year. And even if he got 1 vote, that is an accomplishment. So you're losing a great defender. You got to figure that out. But they're not playing any defense in Brooklyn. They're not playing defense. They're trying to score 150 points. Giannis is playing defense. That group is playing defense, and Spo has his team playing defense. You're going to see teams like I just watched Kyrie come back and Charlotte put 140 on them. I'm like, really? Charlotte 140? That's a lot of points, man.
Yeah, I seen that game last night too.
Yeah.
Nets weren't playing any sort of defense. They were just scoring at will. The freaking the Hornets, everybody was getting buckets and and freaking contributing offensively. Yeah, no, that's defense. Definitely takes it's just non-existent. I think just the one thing really that could change that if somehow this happens is if Ben Simmons comes back, then at least he'll help a little bit, but I don't think it'll help it significantly and drastically. And the whole complexion of their defense.
I will tell you this: if he comes back and they somehow have to run up and play against Philly, I mean, really, that would be an absolute mess for him. It would be an absolute disaster for him.
Nightmare. Ooh. Oh yeah.
Nightmare.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, I also
he
think
wouldn't be able to handle that. He doesn't want that smoke, Ben Simmons. He doesn't.
Way too much smoke for him.
All right.
Absolutely. Facts.
I also think, like you said earlier, they haven't played all together yet. So even if Ben Simmons come back, I don't even know how he's gonna gel with those guys playing together. So I don't even know how successful that's gonna be. Sometimes it takes time for all these stars to play together and be good together. So
I just feel James Harden kind of checked out again. Like he looks like he just gets bored with playing a team game. He'd rather be like bully ball and just play by himself and then dish it out and see how many points he can get. I don't think he understands that you have to play a team game to win. I don't think that's in his idea of how to play the game.
I mean, every time he has to change his game, it seems like that happens, right?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you have to, play second fiddle to Joel Embiid because obviously the guy's one of the best big men in the game. So you got to give that up. And it's like, if he doesn't have the ball in his hand for 20 out of those 24 seconds, it's a problem sometimes.
So who wins on the Western Conference?
Oh,
Who's Phoenix?
Yeah.
Really?
I think it's
Like,
either
who
them
comes
or
out?
Golden State. I'll give the slight edge to Phoenix.
I mean, as long as Steph Curry's on the court with Klay Thompson, and as long as Draymond Green is being Draymond Green, and that's just being mean and physical and being aggressive for absolutely no reason whatsoever, being the angry uncle that possibly nobody wants to be around,
Right.
I just think they have a better chance. I think as long as Draymond Green comes to the party like he forgot to brush his teeth and he just is all upset about the world, I just think they play well.
Phoenix plays some defense too. They got
they lock up
defensive player of the year candidate over there as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Mikal Bridges,
really hungry. They got Ayton, in the paint over there, and they got some really good young stars over there that people don't really talk about. And I don't know, maybe it's the market, maybe these guys are really quiet. Devin Booker, he doesn't say much. He's just out there balling. No. That's a guy.
They're the number one seed. They're the number one seed in the West.
Yeah,
they still don't get the recognition. I feel like.
Yeah. Are you surprised that LeBron and that group is just as bad as they are?
Man,
no. I'm not.
I mean,
that doesn't
come on
at all. No,
come on, Barry.
I am for sure. Like,
well,
absolutely.
I was just gonna. I didn't think it'd be this bad to the point where it'd be the 10th seed, but I didn't think it'd be like a top 4, top 5 team in the West. I wasn't expecting them to be an elite team in the Western Conference, especially how stacked and how talented and deep that conference is. And particularly with teams that are much younger and have much more talent than the Lakers. But you're right, like to say that they'd be the 10th seed and just barely in the play-in tournament and fighting for their playoff lives just to stay in the play-in tournament, that I did not expect. I'll give you that, but I didn't think they'd be that good in a title contending team this year like some people did. I didn't think they'd, as great as LeBron James is and has been playing, I didn't think they'd, compete for a championship and be a contender in the Western Conference this year. I didn't expect that from them.
They have no real role players over there.
No.
They don't play no defense. They have no role players. It's like nobody's playing with heart over there.
Right.
All their players are used to being, the top guy in their team. So it's like they have not fallen into a role. Like the Celtics, everybody seems like they found a niche and they're playing, at the top level in that niche right there. And they don't have anything like that. They got veteran players, and then they got a couple young guys that that could play, but they're not getting the looks I feel like they deserve. Or one of them was like, these guys blame us for losing and stuff. Who was that? Malik Monk said, it's a bunch of veterans and them yelling at us for messing stuff up.
I will say this, and this is what I learned from this year of watching the Lakers. One, I don't know when LeBron's going to get old and not score 27 a game. So that I got to figure that out. I don't understand what he's taking or what he's eating or what he's doing because I'm sure it's illegal. They really need to check into that. And two, Russell Westbrook may not get a job after this year. Like, this may be it for him. Like, this is a thing. Like, he can't get along with anybody anymore. Like, he can't play. This is a thing. This is a bad situation for him.
Yeah.
It is. Absolutely.
We talked about Russell Westbrook. I forgot how long ago this was, but I said the best role for Russell Westbrook is to come off the bench, and you guys
Yes.
And I'm like,
yes,
it's better for him to come off the bench no matter where he's gonna go. You know, he needs to like embrace that and you know, because he's so used to having the ball in his hands, you know, and he can't figure it out when he's in the starting lineup with a guy like LeBron. Like, you're not gonna have the ball in your hand, Russell, and you got to be able to hit some shots, you know, and you know you can't shoot 30 shots a night. And it's just not gonna happen on a team like that.
he doesn't. And I think until he figures that out, until he figures out the fact that if he came off the bench and they were like, listen, all we need you to do is score. Just come off and score. You don't even have to play any defense.
Right.
Score. Don't even give the ball up, because when you do, you turn it over. Just run to the basket and do your thing. He'll be everything that everybody wants him. He'll extend his career another 10 years, because that's all he wants to do anyway.
Hey, maybe you'll have to go through what Carmelo went through, you know.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Sit out a year or two and figure it out, because right now, you know, you're not getting it. You know, you have to find your niche, man, and you're not that guy anymore.
Not.
But the thing is, I definitely hear what you guys are saying, but the thing with Russ is, like, not only does he have like a big ego, but it's like it's hard for these guys that have been superstars their whole career and not have, you know, been starters and played, you know, these big roles and not have accomplished as much as they've accomplished their whole career in the NBA, to take that step back and to like be all of a sudden, like you guys were saying, a role player or a bench player, and like to take a lesser role. Like it's tough for these guys, because these guys, you know, have not only a lot of egos, but they have like a lot of pride. And we know Russ is a lot, you know, is a very prideful guy, and you know, and definitely, you know, is something that I feel like that's an extremely tough pill for him to swallow. Because he's always been a guy that he's, you know, he has that alpha dog like mentality. Like he wants to be the alpha, and he, you know, he wants to be the guy, and he's not willing to defer and take a step back. And I think that certainly bit him. You know, it came back to bite him in, you know, in points of his career, or a good amount of it. But his just mentality and his mindset and his approach to the game, I feel like won't allow him and let him to do that. And it's easier said than done for him to just say, hey, Russ, come off the bench, you know, be a bucket getter for us, just go out and just worry about getting buckets and giving us instant offense and a spark off the bench. That's all we need you to do, bro. Like that's not easy for him to just simply go into that role, just because the way he plays the game and who he's been his whole career to this point.
I don't know if you would take away minutes from him, though. You just tell him to come off the bench. I bet you in the fourth quarter, when you need points, you put him in there. You let him. You roll with the starters. You're just telling him, I don't need you to handle the ball as much. And, you know, you're like, how about you know, let me put you in a position to score. Why not? Why don't you play? You know, I don't want you to keep rolling out there and making mistakes and putting the onus on you. Maybe the point guard's not for you, but being a second-tier scorer, maybe that's who you are. And, you know, I get it. It's hard for him to come off the bench and think that, but you're still going to play like 30 minutes, 35 minutes in some games. You're still going to be in the fourth quarter when we need you, because we're going to need points. But to set the pace of the game, and then for you to start the game and 4 turnovers right off the bat, everybody gets kind of frustrated. And all of a sudden, everybody's looking at you and things don't go right. And then, Russ, when you miss 3 or 4 shots in a row, you shut it down. So the rest of the game, you're done. And we can't use you. Where if we put you in a position to do better, you'll be better.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that's facts. No, absolutely.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you know, I think we've done him a disservice right now. We got a veteran reporter for WBC TV, and the New England Patriots flagships program, Patriots All Access, the Patriots Game Day, and he contributes on the Patriots fifth quarter shows during the season. It's Mr. Levan Reid. We started this off right off the bat, and such a good guy to talk to, and the show just started and we got it rolling. So I just wanted to make sure I introduced you and let our viewers know exactly who you are. And thank you for coming on, because, we love talking about sports, and you came on and we're just going right off the bat. We ain't even introduced nothing. We just go. So,
I will say this, though. You gave me the greatest introduction. Like, you watched everything I did. Like, anyone at my station would be like, that is a hell of a promo. He did literally everything you did. So I'm happy with that. I have no complaints, man. I have no complaints.
And we do our best, man, on this show for sure.
Yeah.
We've been talking ball all day, but I think we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't talk about, our Patriots coming up right now. We're working on the draft right now. Bill Belichick had his press conference today. I think one of the first ones in the, for the upcoming season so far, and I think he had like a 30-minute, press conference. Said a lot. We got.
He actually said a lot today. Bill Belichick. He never said
he didn't say a lot,
but
he didn't say a lot. But he spoke. He was up there for 30 minutes. He didn't say a lot.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was about to say, like, where's that same energy during the season, for real?
No. You know how this works. He'll be up there for 30 minutes,
no doubt,
and say 5 minutes worth of content up there. So he's not going to give us much. But
right.
Obviously, the draft is coming up. These guys seem like they're really hard at work on the scouting trails out there. They have to be, because we're not signing anybody. So, Levan, what is going on with the Patriots, and what's the offseason shaping up to be like?
I'll say two things for you. Because last year they spent like $250 million, everybody expected them to go out and have the same signing spree. And they didn't do it. They signed young players last year. So before last year, this is what it was like, where they waited until the draft, and by draft day, they started to make moves. This, though, is a problem. And what I mean by this is a problem is this. We have never seen the NFL have an offseason like this, where it's crazy. People are signing, like Davante Adams goes to the Raiders after, Aaron Rodgers gets $50 million, and Tyreek Hill is ready to sign with the Chiefs, but he saw Davante Adams' money, and he was like, well, no. I need more than that, so I need to go. You brought in Schuster. They go get Scanlon. Baker Mayfield was like, I'm quitting the Browns. They decided to go with Deshaun Watson. Baker Mayfield was like, I'm going to go to the Colts. The Colts were like, no, we're good. We got Matt Ryan. Like it's just nuts. It's just nuts. Jimmy Garoppolo's doing Subway commercials. He doesn't have a job. It's just out of control. It's just out of control what's going on. So, like, the NFL needs to take a beat. Take a big breath and let things relax for a little bit. And figure it out. The Pats are going to go after offensive linemen in the draft because they have to protect the quarterback. I would hope they go after a wide receiver. But you never know with them, because they don't have the same luck at picking wide receiver as, like, let's say the Pittsburgh Steelers do, who every wide receiver they pick, whatever round they pick that wide receiver in, if they find that guy in a Home Depot at a bodega on the block, he apparently is the fastest down the field to catch, like, literally everything. Without question, he's the best player on the team. I have no idea how the Pittsburgh Steelers find wide receivers, but they always do. But they're confident in what they have. And I will say this, I may not be as confident, I'm not as confident in their coaching situation as I am in what they have on the field. Meaning, I understand that Bill Belichick is trying to make sure these coaches stay for like 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So in doing that, you have to make sure they're, I don't want to say inexperienced, but they're not ready to lead. So the best coach they have on that staff is probably Nick Caley, the tight ends coach, is probably going to call most of the plays. He probably is going to be up for a job after next season. And that's something that Bill's not going to want, because he's got a guy that he wants these guys to have a little bit of, some substance. They need guys to stay a little bit. I'm not sure if I want Matt Patricia and Joe Judge to call offensive plays.
No,
You know,
please,
but that apparently is what
don't
came
do
out
that
of
to us. Don't make
that
us
came out of this meeting this week. You know that it was funny because I was listening to it, and it was almost as if they were like, listen to Reese and my man Mike Giardi and Phil Perry. They were like, "No, really, come on, dude, stop joking around. Who's complex?" And they were like, "Yeah." He was like this. He was like, they were like, "Come on, stop. That's just crazy talk, obviously." But I think they feel confident in what they have, and I will say this: this year won't be as a problem as next year. Next year will be a bigger problem. Because
Why is
next
that?
year, you're going to lose Slater next year. You're going to lose Devin McCourty next year. You're going to lose James White next year. I don't know if you have Dante Hightower this year. Like next year, are you comfortable with Juwan Bentley? Are like next year, you get younger. So I feel like whatever they do this year, they've got to be grooming a whole bunch of different places on that field. Because they've got guys who have double digit in years on the team. And those guys have got to go. It's just how the league is. Those guys have got to leave. You can't keep these guys all the time. So, like, next year is going to be a big problem where you lose guys in captain's position. You're going to lose Devin McCourty. I mean, I would think this is his time. You're going to lose Matthew Slater. I think this is his time. You're going to lose Dante Hightower. I think it's going to be his time. You're going to lose James White. I think that's going to be his time. You already lost Brandon Bolden. So his time is done. You're going to start losing guys that have played along and been kind of, staples of what you do. And I don't know if you should re-sign or give money to Wynn, Isaiah Wynn. Like, listen, I feel bad. I feel bad because if Isaiah Wynn ever saw me in person and we were out someplace, he deserves to hit me in the face. Because I literally, he should smack me like Will Smith smacks somebody. Like he should be like, he should be Levin, keep my name out your mouth. Because I just think he, most of the time, has so many problems at his position, and I just don't get it. So if he and I've been with him next to him, and I've asked him a tough questions and everything, and he just looks at me like, we weren't here. I'm like, I know. But we are here. so I'm gonna feel real brave right here. so we are here. So I just know they need to figure out what they're gonna do with that left tackle spot.
Absolutely, and he better not be started in that left tackle. And I don't blame you. You keep asking him those tough questions. Keep bringing him that heat and asking him those questions because, he shouldn't be starting that left tackle. If he's starting that left tackle next year, that's a problem. Big problem.
Big time problem.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, to not be protecting Mac Jones is blindside. You're going to get this kid killed. He's not going to make it through the season. Won't even make it halfway through the season. Like, please don't do that to this kid. That's a disservice. Don't do my man Mac Jones dirty like that. Like, come on, Bill Belichick. Come on, bro.
I mean, we saw, one of our best defensive players go and, got a bag with the Chargers, right? And then subsequently we've reunited with former
Malcolm
player
Butler.
Malcolm Butler. What do you make of that right there? Because I mean, I feel like all of us here are really surprised that Malcolm Butler is back here.
Yep.
Listen, whatever the situation was, I believe what all the players say. All the players love Bill Belichick. Players love him. Like, as a media member, you're like, I wish you could give me some more. But players are like, Bill is honest. They love Bill. So maybe he went someplace and he didn't like the situation. He was with Vrabel and he didn't like it. But Bill tries to put you – listen, I'll tell you a story. Bill went up to – I think it was Dave Meggett. And Dave Meggett was talking. And Dave Meggett wanted to be an every down back. And Bill was like, you know what? You suck at this, this, and this. But you're good at this. So I'll make you this. And Megan was like, you serious? He was like, yeah. And Megan became the best third down back maybe to ever play the game. And that's how that worked, And I'm sure Bill's like, listen, you're good at this, but you're not good at this. And the one thing Bill kept talking about, which is I think is going to be something you're going to see next year, was despite what was ever going on with J.C. Jackson, they kept throwing at him. Like, even though he got as many interceptions, they kept throwing at him. Which means that Bill must have thought his technique was a little bit off. And, like, his closing speed was better than everybody else's, but he was never in position. I think that Bill loves him. I think he always says if there was trash around, J.C. Jackson would find it and pick it up. And that's J.C.'s thing. But now you're in a spot where you're going to see a lot of people throw, like Russell Wilson's going to throw at you now. You're going to get thrown at by Patrick Mahomes. You're going to get thrown. I mean, Josh McDaniels knows your weakness with the Raiders. He's going to throw at you. So you better, that bag of money is good. You should take, and, don't hate anybody for taking $17 million. Lord, geez, take that money, Star. Run with it.
Right.
But like I would love to see this, and this is something that's gonna you watch as we start to get further and further, and Stephon Gilmore does not have a job. As you start to get further and further, and the waiting game starts to figure out, and guys playing poker, and Stephon Gilmore does not have a job, and all of a sudden Stephon's like, okay, I'll just come back, and that's it. So now you've shored up that spot. And that's all you're looking for. And then Tyrann Mathieu doesn't have a job, and you're waiting, and he's waiting. And guys don't like to wait long. Guys don't like to go in the offseason without a gig. That draft gets close, and they're like, I'm good. And all of a sudden Tyrann Mathieu's here. So, you'll see. It's a lot of money being spent on guys who maybe, listen, I like Von Miller too. It's a lot of money to give Von Miller. That was a lot of cash.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of money for Von. I like him too.
Right.
I like
Matthew
Stafford.
I wouldn't have done that.
I just don't think Bill thinks that's gonna. I don't think he likes playing catch up. I think he feels he's closer than we all feel he is. And maybe he is. Maybe he is. I don't know. But I think he feels he's closer, and I think he thinks the jump Mac Jones is going to take with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry is going to be different than what they had this year. And Jonnu Smith is the key. If they can get Jonnu Smith on and he can start playing the game the way they're supposed to, that offense will be perfect.
No, absolutely it would. Well, what happened with Jonnu Smith last year, and why did he struggle so much? Because this was a guy that we thought was. I get, in your first year with the Patriots, it's a transition year, and sometimes guys struggle. Stephon Gilmore struggled his first year and then played really well the year after and the rest of his time here. Why did we not see more from him last year, and why was he so bad when we actually saw him on the field?
It wasn't the role that he's used to playing. And, he's not used to playing. They want their tight ends to block and then come up blocks and kind of swing out and swing left. And he's not used to doing that. He's not used to being on the line for anything and helping out in the running game and doing that. Then COVID was a problem with him, and he came back a little bit slower. And then they tried to get him on jet sweeps and everything like that. But you'd rather have Kendrick Bourne do those sweeps. He's just much faster. You'd rather have him do that. So now you're asking Jonnu Smith to be a little bit more flexible in situations that he's maybe not comfortable in. And it's hard for, listen, what do people always say? Try not to be the salmon. The salmon swims upstream only. Be nimble and go all the way around. Be the other fish. Be nimble. So you're asking them to do different things. You're asking them to do different things. And I think it was just hard for him to do. Especially because all those guys got egos. Listen, it was easy for you to ask, Jacoby Myers to do whatever because he was undrafted, but he thought he was better. But he does whatever you want him to do, and it works out for him. It was easy to ask Wes Welker to do whatever because he was coming from Miami, and he thought, I was better than playing in Miami. I could do whatever. It'd be hard for you to ask Randy Moss. I remember when they were asking Randy Moss to block, and he was all upset, and Dante Scarnecchia was okay, we're going to do this. And Dante was the one that taught him how to block. And once he learned how to block, he thought he was invincible. He was great. And it's just a matter of, and they really do miss Dante Scarnecchia. I will be honest with you. They miss Dante Scarnecchia a fat kid misses cake. They just miss him so much because the voice that he's like a crotchety old coach that everybody loves. And they just need that. They need to have somebody who just gets in their rear hardcore. And that's what they need. They're going to miss Ivan Fears. That's another coach they're going to miss because they're going to miss those guys. But, you have a changing of the guard. Hopefully, Jonnu Smith, he's staying here the whole time. He's staying here this whole offseason. So hopefully that benefits him to do better, and he just doesn't feel like he has expectations. He just goes out and does it. That's what they need him to do.
What does the Patriots do in the draft this year?
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows that. Stop asking questions, Vladimir, that we're trying to answer. Like you trying to make it seem like we all know. Like anytime that the Patriots draft Vlad is like, I don't know. I'll tell you what my niece. I'll tell you what my nieces say. I don't know, man. Stop asking questions. You know. Like you would assume they go after offensive linemen that they need. You would assume that they try to get a wide receiver, but you don't know how that's going to work. But there's a lot of wide receivers there that they should be able to pick at. They hit it hard with Christian Barmore. That was a score. That was a score. That was a score with Christian Barmore. If you can get if this year, and I think they think Mac Wilson can be. I think Mac Wilson can be the linebacker they're looking for that can run with tight ends. Yeah. Give me a linebacker that can run with tight ends. Get me that, and then get yourself someone to replace. Not even replace Devin McCourty, but to help out in that role because you're going to lose Devin McCourty soon. Mm-hmm. So that and by the way, you're going to have to. It's nothing you have to worry about now, but you're going to have to get a kicker. That's going to happen. And maybe because I know Nick Caley's calling the offense because they got rid of Jakob Johnson. They're not using a fullback this year. So I don't know how their offense is obviously going to have a different look than what they're used to before. So it's going to have a different look.
Nah, for sure. It will have a different look. I think certainly, what they need to particularly draft this year, I need what I want to see them get is more team speed on defense, more, players, that
is the
can be able to
key.
make an impact. Christian Barmore last year, I want to see them get some, young linebackers that can, be able to, fly around in the field, go from end to end, and be able to, to make plays and make tackles in the open field. I want to see guys, that can cover in the secondary because they don't really have guys that can cover in the secondary. Right now. So, and I want to see also pass rushers too, guys that can get after the quarterback. We shouldn't just be dependent on Matt Judon to give us all our pass rush or Christian Barmore. We need at least one or two other guys that can be able to give us, a pass rush and that can contribute and be able to take the pressure and the load off of Matt Judon or Christian Barmore so that when they were banged up at the end of last year, our pass rush was non-existent and nowhere to be found, and Josh Allen's running up the field for 30, 40 yards and being able to pretty much gain whatever yards he wants. So I need to, be able to see those things in the draft this year, and I'm hoping that's what, Bill goes to, is drafting more team speed, on the defensive side of the ball, because that's what this team desperately needs, and they got exposed for that towards the end of last season.
They're going to have to play a lot of zone defense right now because the AFC just is real fast. It just happens that the AFC is real fast. I mean, you're getting killed by Isaiah McKenzie. I mean, like you're just getting killed by guys who flat out can run, and you're going to end up seeing Devontae Adams and Darren Waller this year. You're going to see Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill this year. You're just going to see guys who could. You're going to see Stephon Diggs and Isaiah McKenzie and all those dudes this year. You're going to see guys who could just flat out fly. And that's going to be a problem for you. Yeah.
Very scary.
The guys, very scared. Guys who could just fly. Like everybody's like, oh, look at the quarterbacks in the AFC. I'm like, no, look at all the speed that the AFC is bringing right now. So forget about the quarterback. I mean, all these guys can fly, all of them. They're just bringing heat in all directions in the AFC. You don't have to worry about the quarterback. And it doesn't help that maybe the best player in the NFL is in your division in Josh Allen. Maybe it doesn't help that he's in your division. That doesn't help. And where I'm sure Buffalo was like, for 100 years, you have the best player. So, soak it up. Take a look. This is what it looks like. So.
Right. And there's an issue that I have with them playing a lot of zone coverage, and I don't want to see a lot of zone. Because, guys, when we saw them play a lot of zone last year, didn't they get picked apart? Well, didn't Josh Allen have a couple games where they didn't even have to punt and they were putting up 40-plus points on us and just marching right down the field, and as well as the other games they struggled defensively, where they were playing a soft zone coverage and playing, not really much man, and they were getting picked apart and absolutely lit up and exposed by several teams, and like the Buffalo Bills and the teams that really put up some points and put it on us. So I get that they are gonna play some zone, but I don't want to see too much zone. Like, they gotta mix it up and they gotta get some guys that can cover. Now that's what I'm hoping for in this draft, because I heard it's a pretty good cornerback draft class that's coming up. So I'm hoping they can get some guys that can cover and make plays in the secondary, and that can be able to help us in man coverage, because playing that too much
it won't happen immediately. It won't happen immediately. The NFL, the wide receivers, once they get past that first year, they're just different. Especially, and this wide receiver group that came in last year is very different. Corners don't jump in and play that fast. They just don't. It's just hard. The game is, guys are so much more physical on the offensive side of the ball than they're even used to seeing in college. They really are. Guys are so much different. I would say that the best thing you had happen for you in your division is Brian Daboll left, and he went to go coach another team. So maybe Josh Allen learning that new offense gives him a little bit of a hiccup, a slow start to learning that new offense. But it's tough. I mean, the defense is hard to. I mean, guys coming in, corners coming in, it's tough. It's real tough for you to get it together, because you don't know how they're gonna fit. Guys don't slide that easy. Guys, you think best, and guys who are veterans are like, I'm gonna show you how this is done. And they just take you off the ball. They do it all the time. So it's tough.
Absolutely.
It is. I want to see them get some veterans, and they're to at least one or two more veterans. I know they got Malcolm Butler, they got Terrence Mitchell and stuff. Need at least maybe Gilmore comes back, maybe another veteran comes back, but I just need to see more, and them try to at least fill that void, maybe make more effort to fill that void, because it's like I don't want to see this team get lit up week after week after week and give up 40, 50 points to, because they're going to, like we just said, they're going to be facing some great offenses next year in the division and out of division. That schedule that we have, like, there's some offenses that will freaking tear us apart and let us up like a Christmas tree if we're not careful, and if we can't, improve defensively and be able to at least somewhat cover and slow down these guys, because that's what really scares me.
You're not playing Buffalo every week. I know that's everybody's thought. Everybody said the last image is you played Buffalo twice and you just got hammered. You're not playing Buffalo every week. So you're going to see Tua. He can't throw the ball down the field. You're going to see the Jets. They still are bad. You're going to see some teams that you can beat. You're not playing Buffalo every week. So it's okay. I understand. It's a hard image to get out of your head that you can't stop Josh Allen whatsoever. So, maybe you can get a couple. I mean, there was a point in the season they had the best record in the AFC. Right. And then it didn't work out for them. But you'll do what you can do with what you have, and you'll win the games. They'll win more games. I would think that they're going to play. They'll play more together this year than they did last year. I really do. I think the quarterback will be better this year and more relaxed this year than he was last year. So I'm hoping that's the case.
For sure. Hey,
will they make the playoffs next year? Are they a top 7 team in the AFC?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think the AFC West all those teams can't make the playoffs. It's just how it is. You can't be stacked and expect all those teams to make the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, I think they'll make the playoffs.
Absolutely.
I have faith that they'll make the playoffs. Or maybe I'm crazy. Who knows if Deshaun Watson's going to play this year?
Yeah.
After everything's said and done, who knows if Deshaun Watson's going to get on the field?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Hey, guys, we've had Levan on for quite some time now. Thank you so much for your time, man. Does anybody
Thank
have
you so much, guys.
for the man before he takes off?
Well, I will say this, guys. It's great to have guys out there doing podcasts and doing everything like that because I get a chance to listen to you guys and I'm able to kind of listen to different ideas and different things that you guys think of, and that makes my game a lot better. Trust me. Me doing this job, I appreciate that there are other people getting their voices out there to hear different things because I can get dialed in and I just sometimes, you have blinders on and I get a chance to listen to other people talking. I'm like, that makes sense. I even get a chance to argue with people and I don't even believe my argument. I just want to hear what you have to say. So I appreciate you guys doing your thing and keep doing it because as much as, people sometimes don't say they like this, they don't like that. I can tell you in our business, if you're a true veteran, sportscaster or journalist, you need to hear everybody talk. It's important. It's very important. So keep doing your thing because I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. I think my last question is going to be, what are your thoughts on the Will Smith thing last night?
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Let me tell you what. If this was France, they would have to have a duel, right? You can't smack somebody and not one person die. I mean, it just seems so strange. And and I'll say this: does he hit? If that was The Rock being the presenter, does he walk up on stage and hit The Rock? No. He thinks twice. He thinks twice about coming up there because The Rock would have been like, "Well, I will put the smackdown on you." I thought he was laughing, and his wife was not laughing. And I'll say this: I think there's been so many times that Jada Pinkett kept her hair low. I didn't know she had alopecia. I don't know if Chris Rock knew. Sometimes she shaves her head to be in whatever role she's in. Nobody knew she had alopecia until last night. And he's lucky because if Chris Rock wanted to, he could have said some things that were very damaging about the family, the Will Smith and his family. He could have said some very good things, and they're lucky two things. Imagine if that was Dave Chappelle. Man, if that was Dave Chappelle, Dave Chappelle would have pulled up a chair, and he would have let it fly, and it would have been so. Chris Rock, But with that said, now Chris Rock is in Boston, doing this. He's got a couple gigs at the Wilbur Theater, and I'm pretty sure he had to change his whole first 40 minutes. The whole 40 minutes, he had to rewrite. He was like, "Oh, I got to change this up because I just got snapped." So, whatever. It's a thing.
I was thinking about getting tickets. I don't think that's gonna happen now.
455 sold out.
You're not gonna go, John?
No, there's no way you're gonna get a ticket to that now.
No. They were sold out before this. But now, even when they were going to open up the other part, and they were like, it's $555, $455 to $555 per ticket.
Oh, shoot. Damn. And that price went up after
yesterday's price is not today's price,
Yes, exactly.
Price, facts. In the words of the great Fat Joe, absolutely. Wait, can I get my last question in?
You got the last.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. Save the best for last. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to hear. So, Levan, I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite moment in covering the Patriots or covering Boston sports out of all the years that you've been, covering these teams?
The Super Bowl that they beat the Seattle Seahawks was by far my most favorite because it was the first time that I was who was on the field between that and the Atlanta Super Bowl, but who was on the field during that Super Bowl? There were so many Hall of Famers and great players on the field in the Seattle Super Bowl, and I'll paint the picture for you real quick. The Malcolm Butler, that happened at the end of the game. So you have to leave the stands and go underneath, and you're watching everything on tape delay and everything like that. So all you're hearing is the crowd go crazy and everything like that. So, you're watching it on TV and we see that they can't stop, they can't stop beast mode. He's doing his thing and he's rolling through. So we're watching that. So we're like, all we hear is this loud noise. It's a 10-second delay. Okay. So we were like, okay, they must have scored. The Patriots are going to lose. And then we look up, and we saw the Malcolm Butler play, and we were like, wow! We were like crazy. And at that time, I thought to myself, man, Tom Brady's whole legacy was on Malcolm Butler getting that interception. His whole legacy, remember, they were like, if he loses this, he's just a normal dude. That was one. And when they played Atlanta, you're up 28-3. We're in the stands. And I was sitting next to Mike Reese and Christian Fourier. So I'm telling Mike Reese, I said, hey, can you book our tickets to get us out of here? See if you can move our tickets along. Get it out of here. Because, we usually do the breakfast the next morning and MVP. He was like, yeah, let's book it. We can get out of here tomorrow morning early. And Christian's keeping a clicker because he was wondering about the defensive plays. He said, once they get to about 60 defensive plays, the Atlanta defense is going to be exhausted. We were like, Christian, stop it, man. Too many hits in the head. And you're in the room, and the crowd in Atlanta was all drunk. Everyone. Because the Atlanta fans are drinking because they beat the Patriots 28-3. The Patriot fans are drinking because they're losing 28-3. It got to 28-20, and you've never seen so many people reach for water in your entire life. People were, they're like, everybody was reaching for water, trying to sober up. It's happened. And it's funny, I realize how arrogant we are as New England fans and people who cover the team, because we were like this. You know what's coming, right? I don't have to tell you what's coming. What's coming is y'all not ready to get it. Y'all not ready to lose. And they knew it. We knew it. And all the Atlanta fans were like, this is not going to happen. They are not going to come back from 28-3. And when it got to 28-28, I'm sure like you're like me, you're like, if that coin flip goes our way, y'all can pack this up. This is about done. This is about done. Y'all don't even have to, like, just pack up all that stuff. This is roll. Y'all ain't see. And Matt Ryan knew. Matt Ryan was like, hey, I ain't going back out there, am I? I'm like, take your pads off, Matt. You're done, buddy. This is over. So those 2 times covering those 2 teams that won, I mean, to see Cam Chancellor out there and you beat Cam Chancellor in that group, because I thought Cam Chancellor as a safety was one of the best I had ever seen. To see him out there, I just thought he was one of the best I'd ever seen, man. And you beat that group, I was like, man, that's a tough group you beat. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Those are some great stories. Appreciate you sharing those stories.
No problem at all.
Awesome.
No problem at all. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for having me on. Anytime you need me, just email me and I'll make sure I make some time. Not a problem at all.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yes, absolutely. We'll do. We'll hit you up
Thank
again. You'll be back on here.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'll catch you. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Pleasure meeting you.
Man,
that was awesome.
It just started, like from the jump, from the minute he got here till now. I mean, he slated to give us like 30 minutes, and he's been here over an hour. So apparently, it was a good conversation. So shout outs to Levan Reid, man, and he's a Boston sports legend around here, and shout out to Barry for getting him to come on here. So appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Of course, no doubt.
If you're listening, please make sure you're subscribing to the channel. You're liking, you're sharing the content. Make sure you follow Levan Reid on social media as well as us. We're at ProFan Sports on everything except for Instagram, and that's ProFans_sports. We're on every day dropping crazy content, so make sure you're connecting with us. And actually, this Saturday, April 2nd, we're having our 2-year anniversary event at 682 Broadway, Somerville, Mass, from 5 to 9 p.m. So if you're out there, you want to come check us out and hang out with us, get a chance to win some prizes, some, a couple Celtics tickets, some merch, get a couple shirts going, pull up on us, man. We'd love to have you. So until next episode, man, we out.
Have a good week, everyone. See y'all next week on episode 106.